Let's talk the cut. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk the cut. Woo!
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here in the Let's Talk the Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk the Cutler virtual book club, the Let's Talk the Cutler YouTube channel, the Let's Talk the Cutler. Let's spend 1,800 seconds together on these Tuesdays and Thursdays, because that's what we do. We talk about things that are inspirational, things that are motivational. We talk about making sure that we've shown up today better than we did yesterday. We do our best to try to be intentional and deliberate about showing up better tomorrow than we did today. We are deliberate and we are intentional about trying to show up our best selves, even in the worst of situations. How about you all? Sometimes these worst situations just come at you and you wonder, whoa, where did that come from? And how am I prepared for it? But I'm telling you, I love spending this time together, these moments together, these 1,800 seconds together, because they remind me that I really can show up my best self, even in the worst of situations. How about you all? Have you all seen some worst situations these past few days, these past couple of weeks, these past couple of months, and you said, you know what? I'm a little bit better for the time that we spend together with the Let's Talk the Cutler broadcast, so Let's Talk the Cutler family. So listen, come on into the chat room so I can see who you are. I see you all logging in. I just can't see everybody in the chat right now, but come on. I want to see my friends. Come on into the chat room so I can see you all and know that you're here. But again, go and tell somebody, come on and let's talk the color, because we're talking about real life situations, real people, real things, and just how life just happens and how we are preparing ourselves for those twists and turns and ins and outs and peaks and valleys and all of those things. So I love these 1,800 seconds. So let's do it. Go and tell somebody, come on, let's talk the color, because tonight we're going to talk about how to pivot in life. Wow. How to pivot in life. And it's funny how words will take on different connotations as times change and as things evolve, because the only thing that I would have associated with pivoting several years ago would have been a fashion model on the runway. Of course, I know what the word pivot means, but when you think about stopping and turning on a dime and how fashion models do it with class and skill and adroitness and all this kind of stuff. But we're going to talk about how to pivot in life, how to change some things, keep some things the same, and how to make adjustments of those sorts of things. And we're going to talk about it. So if you're the kind of person who knows that your life can stand a few changes for the better, let me raise both of my hands. If you're one of those persons who well, hold on. It sounds like Google just took off. Hey, Google, cancel. One of the ways my life can change is by not having all of these devices so sensitive and listening to everything that I say or do. I think I told you all before, I have Siri, I have Alexa, and I have Google all here in my house. So I need to make some adjustments. Maybe that's how I need to pivot. But listen, it is about making adjustments in life. And I want to talk about that. But before I do, I just want to remind you, if you haven't done so, this is your first time, do me a favor. Go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe. If this is your first time catching the live, catching the replay, go ahead and subscribe. And then once you subscribe, click on the notification bell. Now, it's either down there or it's up there somewhere. It's over there or it's over there. But click on the notification bell, because it lets you know whenever I've gone live. It lets you know whenever I've uploaded new content. Let me do a shout out to the LTTC VIPs. Those are the Let's Talk the Cutler, very important people for the evening. Everybody's a VIP in my eyes, but you all know this is just the fun and the banter that we do. So from my end, I don't know about you all, but from my end, the first 3 people I see in the chat room, McDina, I might have to do that. Keep my Alexa unplugged until I want to listen to music. I may have to do the same thing. That's funny. But the 3 people that I see in the chat first this evening are Annie Cutler, Sonia Bailey, and Tracy Johnson. I mean, from all different places in the country, looks like. So it's so good to see all of you all. But let's talk about how to pivot in life. I want to talk about that, and I'll tell you why. I was just thinking about how life is so dynamic. People are here one minute and gone the next minute. Sometimes we find ourselves healthy one moment and not as healthy the next moment. We see ourselves in certain situations, and those situations can turn on a dime. Sometimes we leave home one way, we come back another. Those sorts of things, and we need to be prepared for the life adjustments, because life is just not about a straight path into eternity. It really isn't. Life is not about a straight path or straight line into eternity. It has crooks and bends and twists and all of those sorts of things. And I just think it behooves us to be prepared for those things. That you're not on a one-way road where there are no turns and no roadblocks and no changes of direction and no traffic checks. No, no, not at all. But at some point, we need to turn, we need to stop, we need to move, we need to adjust. And just like athletes sometimes need to do that on the fields as well. And sometimes it's quick. It can be uh, 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 it can happen almost in the blink of an eye, but it doesn't always happen like that in real life. Sometimes the pivots and the moves and the turns are quick, but that's not always. It's not always that way. And I think I may take my time and work and talk about pivoting. How many of us know that we can stand some changes in our lives? And I'll say this, you all, before we even talk about how to pivot. Let's understand this: it's not always easy. Pivoting, making changes and adjustments, it's not always easy, even if you know it's the right thing to do. How many of us know that sometimes we know the right things to do, or the more difficult things to do? Sometimes being honest and upright, people don't always find it natural and normal or the second nature to be honest and upright. No, they have to get into the mode and remind themselves to do that. Have you ever seen kids who would just lie like that and you wonder, where in the world did you get that from? How did you learn to do that? Sometimes taking the high road is not the most natural or the easiest thing. Likewise, similarly, pivoting is not always easy, even if you know it's the right thing to do. It's not always easy. So I want to acknowledge that. I don't want it to go. I don't want it to seem like I'm taking it for granted or just thinking, oh, okay, Cutler, this is just easier said than done. So just keep on going. Pivoting has to be a mindset. It really does. It has to be a mindset, and not just saying, I'm going to get out here and do this, and it's just going to happen. And you set your body and your person out there physically to do something. We seem to have expectations about how many times we are allowed to make these changes and do this kind of stuff. But are we thinking about, do we have it in our mind? It has to be a mindset. Pivoting, changing, adjusting has to be a mindset. And one of the reasons I think about that, you all, is because I've encountered people recently whose behavior, their physical behavior, or their way of being, their way of showing up, doesn't always serve them well. And I was thinking, wow, where do we get these behaviors from? It seems like from time to time people can just have these what I call these pathologies. It's just this way of being. It is just this malfunctioning abnormality and how people show up, and that's what's called a pathology. You've heard of the word pathological liar. It's abnormal. Sometimes we get in these pathologies, these ways of being, these ways of showing up, and they are abnormal. They are, we're not functioning, but we're malfunctioning. And those things have to be interrupted. We need to pivot from those things. Because as you all are saying, many times, yes, Tracy, right, many times the mind is the hardest place to change. It is the hardest thing to change. But I'm saying we have got to pivot, because either, you all catch this, and I read this somewhere, either you pivot or you get pivoted. If pivoting, if changing is inevitable, wouldn't you rather do it on your own terms? I don't want to be forced into change. I don't want somebody or something changing me. I want to be the change agent. I want to do it on my own. If I'm going to have to change, if I'm going to have to make a change in life, I want to do it on my own. I want to pivot and not get pivoted. Because pivoting and changing, adjusting is inevitable. It's going to happen. And we have to think about it. And many times it really is for the best. Many times it really is for our good. I know sometimes people say, well, yeah, change is not always good. Change may not always be good, but a lot of times adjusting your life so that you, oh, I'm going to say something, y'all, adjusting your life so that you can have one. That's what I'm talking about. Adjusting your life so that you can create and have life. That is for the best. And that is irrefutable. Nobody can tell you that changing life so that you can have life is not for your best interest, because it really is. And so even before I talk about how to do it, I want us to get in the mindset of realizing that, oh, it has to happen. It's going to happen. It needs to happen. It's for my good. Lots of people spend their whole lives, spend their whole career, they spend their whole tenure of being here on the earth, never making changes because they don't want to take risks. They don't want to be daring. But I'm telling you, change is inevitable. And now I'm looking at a lot of people who are trying to make changes, and they're trying to make these major changes, these big changes. Everybody nowadays wants to be a brand. Oh my God, did I really say that? Yes, everybody wants to be a brand. But you don't have to be a brand to make a difference. You don't have to be a brand for somebody to see you. You don't have to be a brand to be discovered by a neighbor or a friend or a family member who's just looking for someone to create a positive role model. You don't have to be a brand. Be you. You don't have to be a brand to give the world the best that you have. Everybody is not going to be a brand. I'm not trying to kill anybody's dreams. Let me say that. But we have these buzzwords nowadays. Everybody wants to be this, they want to be that. But to give the world the best that you have, you don't have to be a brand. Just be you and be the best version of you. I told someone today, there are no auditions for any roles that everybody else is playing because they're already taken. Be the best you that you can be. And sometimes that means, that requires that you need to make the adjustment. You need to make the change. It requires you having to pivot. Because a lot of times pivoting and making change really just allows you to add value to who you already are. Or it allows you to bring out the value that you've suppressed so long. Be you and be available. Yeah, in fact, I heard a message this past Sunday about being available. So let's get that in our heads. Let's get that in our minds that, yeah, maybe, just maybe, I'm along this pathology. Why aren't things working together for me? Cutler used that word pathology. Oh, because that means malfunctioning or functioning in an abnormal way. Why aren't things coming together? Why aren't things adding up? Why do I always find myself going downhill? Why do I always find myself going around the mountain? Why do I always find myself stressing? Why do I always find myself struggling? Why do I always find myself in a battle? Why do I always find myself in a fight? Perhaps it is pathological and it needs to be interrupted. It needs to be changed. It needs to be turned. It needs to be pivoted. So I want to talk about that. Sometimes we find ourselves in these patterns and they're not always good. And I need to talk about that. We need to get it in our mind. I've got to change. My situation has got to change. Something has got to change. How do I do that? And it doesn't mean that you necessarily get rid of everything. When it comes to making these changes, may I suggest this? May I tell you this? Life changes may come with anxieties. And there's no point in necessarily trying to eliminate all of the fears in life and all of the anxieties and all of that. So there's no point in trying to eliminate all of your fears and all of your anxieties about changing and about pivoting. But what you can do is focus on the fact that the end result is going to yield a better you. This is going to make me uncomfortable for a moment, but it's going to make me a better me. It's going to work some muscles that I didn't necessarily know I even had, but it's going to make me a better, faster, stronger me. It's like getting in the gym and working muscles that I didn't even think I had, but after a while they are developed and it makes for a healthier, stronger, a better me. I'm uncomfortable in the moment. I'm sore in the moment. I'm hurting in the moment, but it yields a better, I don't want to kick a dead horse. It yields a better me. So the Cutler, how do we do that? How do we even get our mind to the point? What facets, what areas in life do I even need to think about pivoting? Where and how do I even consider making changes? I said it starts in the mind. Can I tell you this? One of the things that we really need to pivot in life is how we define success. I'm not even talking about changing the pivoting so I can have more money and have wealth and have things. What about what makes for a successful you? Pivot your view and your definition of success. You get to create your definition of success. Once before, I said it maybe a month or so ago, sometimes when it looks like you're failing, redefine what failure looks like for you. So by the same token, redefine what success looks like for you. Pivot your viewpoint of success. I understand that there's a denotation, which is a dictionary meaning, but there's also a connotation. What does success connote to you? It might be financial freedom. It might be more time for yourself. It might mean being able to walk or sit on the porch and drink coffee or tea or whatever it is. It may be spending more time with your family. What does success look like for you? What does it mean for you? So one of the things that you might need to pivot is your definition of success. I'm chuckling about the comments. I just gave you all a quick vocabulary word. Yes. So you may hear the word denotation, or it denotes this, or connotation, as in it connotes this. And so when you think denotation, think, okay, dictionary. What does the dictionary, how does the dictionary define this? But then there's a connotation. It means what does it, what does this connote for me? All right. And so one of the things that I want to talk about is remember, how do you define success for you? What does it mean? What does it look like? How does it show up? Are you living your life by your own terms, or are you living your life by someone else's terms and their definition of success for your life? I could stay right there for the rest of the evening, because a lot of us are living our lives by how somebody else has defined what success looks like for us. And I understand that there are standards. I get that. But in terms of what success looks like subjectively for Gregory Brad Cutler, only I and God can define that in my life. So I've learned to live my life by the terms of my definition of success. And I encourage you to do the same thing. Whatever it is, take a look at your life. It's what you're spending your time doing. It's what you're spending your time on. It's what you're spending your energy involved in. Is it aligned with what you really value? Take a step back, and maybe after taking a step back, you can realize that the life you're living at this very moment is in fact the epitome of success for you. If that's you, then it's wonderful. But if that's not you, then we need to pivot and make a change. Maybe you can take a moment and appreciate and love your life and love yourself, because you're on this trajectory, you're on this path whereby you say, yes, the things that I do, Cutler, they are aligned with my values. They are aligned with what I think is important. They are aligned with how I define the epitome of success. If that's you, then fine, that's wonderful. Then you don't necessarily have to define or redefine your definition of success. But maybe somebody should redefine they should think about now pivoting their health. So if you don't pivot your definition of success, maybe you can pivot your health. Cutler, are you really going there again? Yeah. Why am I going there? Because we only have one life to live, you all, and nobody else is going to live it for us. We've been given one body. And we have to take care of it. There is, and again, let's be subjective because there is no one way. Because I know we all start thinking, what is healthy and how does healthy look like? Should you exercise? Should you walk in the morning? Should you walk in the evening? Should you have breakfast? Should you not have breakfast? Should you have one meal? Should you take out starches? Should you take out meat? Should you do that? So let me just say this: there is no one way to do anything. There is no one way to do anything, and there's no area within which this rings true more than within your own health. And so while you should certainly educate yourself, you know your body and your mind better than anyone. But pivot your health. You want to maximize your existence and your experience on the earth. Pivot your health. If you want to maximize your time and your existence on earth, pivot your health. If you want to maximize your time and your existence on earth, pivot your health. Move into the place where you're doing things that are healthier and that are more nutritious and that yield a healthier you. I just need to say that. I just need to put that out there. And that is not meant to put pressure on anybody. That comes out of a place of saying, love yourself. Set out with the desire to fuel your body and your brain. Pivot your health. I just need to put that out there. That's all. And I think that comes from a place of just transparently, I'll say this. There is room for most of us to become healthier and more conscious of our health. Why would you say that, Cutler? I say that because it comes from a place of love, and that's the next thing where I'm going. Pivot the way you love yourself. Pivot the way you love yourself, the way you love your body, the way you love your mind, the way you love all of it through and through and through. Pivot the way you love yourself. You've heard it before, and I'm going to say it again. Self-care goes much farther than bubble baths and foot massages and getting your nails done, getting manicures and pedicures. But self-love goes, self-care goes further than that. It's about feeding your mind. It's about expanding your thinking. It's about recognizing, being aware of your emotions. It's about all self-care is about all of that. It looks like self-compassion and growth and love. Self-care encompasses all of those things. It's choosing to feel love for yourself. It's deciding how you're going to view yourself, the type of person you choose to be. These sometimes are the pivots that we ignore. Because we think about, oh, so-and-so got on my nerves and now it's really time to pivot. Yeah, that could be true, but how about pivot the way that you love yourself? Loving yourself. I love that, Tracy. Loving yourself to the point of trying to limit success. Limit stress, rather. I said success. No, limiting stress. Yes. It means sometimes learning to give yourself some emotional, mental slack. And you all hear me often say things about how we need to celebrate the wins in our lives, no matter how minimal they may seem to other people, but learn how to celebrate the wins in your life. One of the things that we need to do, y'all, is pivot what and why we celebrate. Because I've been saying this thinking, wow, okay, we just need to celebrate the small wins, but I just need to back up and say this: pivot what and why you celebrate. Because for me telling you to just do it and make it happen, there's no need for me to keep saying, hey, celebrate your win, celebrate your win. Maybe we need to pivot what and why we celebrate. You have to wait till you make a 3-pointer on the basketball court. Mm-mm. You have to wait till you score a touchdown, knock a grand slam. No, you don't have to wait for all of that. But learn to pivot what and why you celebrate. Because the fact is, there are so many things that we can celebrate, you all. So many things that we can celebrate. I remember the first day after not being able to walk for this second surgery, just the fact that I was able to walk. I celebrated it. Haven't been able to get on a tennis court, but guess what? I'm celebrating being able to walk. I'll get back on the tennis court at some point. But so pivot. Why do I celebrate? Cutler keeps saying that I need to celebrate, but okay, so maybe I need to change my way of thinking about why I celebrate and what I celebrate. Celebrate every win that you can. People that you love want to see you celebrate your wonderful self. They want to see you celebrate your amazing self. They want to see you celebrate your winning self. Why would you say that, Cutler? Because I can promise you this. I can promise you this with my whole heart. The impact of you celebrating you will inspire people to do the same thing in their lives. We see people sometimes say, oh, you're doing a good job. You ought to be proud of yourself. But if they don't see you being proud of you, you're not modeling for them why they should be proud of themselves. We're telling people one thing, yet we're doing another. I was reading something earlier today by a gentleman who really was my hero. He was a hero on the tennis court and really off the tennis court, but in life. And I'm so fortunate and blessed that I had the opportunity to meet him when I was very young. Yes, I was a teenager when I met him, but it was Arthur Ashe. And I read something about Arthur Ashe earlier today. It says, start where you are. If we're going to pivot, just start where you are. Let me finish the quote. It says, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. Some of us are waiting to win the lottery before we pivot, which means what? We'll never pivot. I'm not trying to downplay anybody's chances of winning or windfalls or anything, but start where you are. Use what you have and do what you can. You can start where you are and start changing your mindset now. That is one of the things that you can do. Do what you can. You can change your mind. You may not be able to build a mansion or go out and buy a Rolls Royce or anything, but use what you have. Sometimes we see ourselves as unproductive. What about then pivoting the way that you view productivity? I told you all it's a mindset. You all didn't know I was going here this evening. Pivot the way you view productivity and success, the way you view time. Because one of the things that I so admire about my grandparents' generation and my great-grandparents' generation, and even my mother's generation, was that productivity was worn like a badge of honor. I know lots of people who used to work in the manufacturing industry and in the in manufacturing and putting things together and assembly lines. That's where I'm going. I know a lot of people used to work in manufacturing and assembly lines and those things, and they even had a term that says, "I made production today." That means that I met the requirement. And in life, I would watch generations ahead of me wearing this notion of productivity like it was a badge of honor. And I'm wondering if we're doing it today. I'm wondering if we're doing it these days when we come home, because when I would go home after school, they wanted to know, well, how was your day? And we would sit around the family dinner table and the TV would be off, and we listened to each other to see if people really had a productive day. And then later on, I would hear people saying things on their voicemail like, have a productive day, have a winning day, have a banner day, have a this kind of day and a that kind of day. But the generations before me would check in on us to make sure that we really did have a productive day, because there was something about productivity. It was worn like a badge of honor. And it makes me wonder, where are we today? Are we checking in on other people to make sure that the day truly was great? It was wonderful. It was banner and it was productive. Change. Maybe we need to pivot the way we view productivity. Because it's important that you check in with yourself and assess the intentions behind what productive means for you in your life. I'm striving to be productive because it adds value to my life. Not that I'm trying to stay busy, I'm trying to add value to my life. So that's one of the things that we can pivot. Hadn't thought about that because we like to pivot again. We like to pivot getting people out of our lives. Oh, okay. Oh, I don't have time for you. So, so you offended me. Let me just pivot. No. You can do that if you want. But how about pivot the way you think? How about pivot the way you define success? How about pivot the way that you view productivity? How about pivoting why and what you celebrate? How about pivoting the way that you care for yourself and the way that you love yourself? How about pivoting when it comes to your health? These are true pivots because they have nothing to do with anybody else except you. They have nothing to do with anybody else except you. These are ways that we need to pivot. I can talk about a few more, but let me get out of here because having said that, you do get to pivot who you allow in your space and in your circle, who adds bricks to your foundation. You do get to do that. I think I'm going to resume and continue this conversation the next time I'm here. But let's start thinking about it, you all, how to pivot your life just as the leaves and nature is getting ready to change and go into another cycle. Let's learn how to pivot our lives, our ways of being, our ways of showing up, and our ways of thinking. Until then, let's keep doing what we do, you all. Let's keep building a community, maintaining connectivity. You all do me a favor. Keep your heads up, keep your hopes up, stay safe, stay sane. Take care of yourself and know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. And so until the next time I see you, please tell somebody else, come on and let's talk to Cutler. I'll see you all the next time I see you. Good night.